Sagt der Bava basra darf kaufen beis am Ral weit man gelernt Matna schrieben Rashi Kasba Kinya Matna schrieben in it it's written that there was a Kenyan. It doesn't have to be written, says the Rashbam. Even if he says that he's giving the matana, it's like it's as if the matana was done. But he had a star in it was written a Kenyan. Beirav Mishmei Rav Abni in the base Matish of Rav. They said the name of Rav Akve Atrei Richshei. The Shchimera is writing this matana on two horses, meaning two keiches. The Shchimera gave two keiches. He gave the keich of a Shchimera because he gave it Belosh Matna Shchimera, and he also has the keich. He gave also the keich of Matna's body because he made a kinyan. So the kinyan could be done even without having a star and in it writing that it was a kinyan. You could have the Matna Shchimera with verbally done and having a kinyan. That's what the Rashbam adds. Shmuel Amar Lo Yadani Ma Yadam Ba. Shmuel says, I don't know how to judge this case. Rav, Mishmei Rav Amni, in the basement of Rav, they said the name of Rav, Akve Aterichshi. Now the Gemara is going to explain what does it mean that he's riding on two horses. What does it mean that he had that the Shchimera gave two keiches to the receiver? Matna's body. Number one, it's like a Matna's body. And it's also like a Matna Shchimera. Matna's body. It's like a matana of a body. Le'inyan she'im amad einei chayza. That if he recovered from his sickness, the Shchimera, he cannot retract from the matana. The matana remains because this that he added to make a kinyan, that he's making a kinyan was only it's an addition to give more koyach to the receiver of the matana, that this matana should be completely his without him being ever without the Shchimera ever being able to retract. And it also has it like a matna Shchimera, that if the Shchimera Omar, how the Shchimera says, I have the money that I lent to Shimon, and he wants the money that the Shimon owes him go to Levi. Normally, if the Shchimera, with the one that's borrowed the money, and the one that he wants the money to be given to, are all standing together, that's called Maimon Shlosh, and that's the only way the kinyan can take place. But if it was a Shchimera, you don't have to have Maimon Shlosh for the kinyan. That if he said that his halva should go lepleni, if he says the loan that he has by this person should go to the next person, L'mashal, he has the Shchimera says he has halva, he lent money to Reuven, and he wants Reuven to pay Shimon. Even without them three standing together, if he said it as a Shchimera, the kinyan will take place. Ushmul Amar, Shmuel says, Lo Yadan Ma'yodem Ba. Shmuel says, I don't know how to judge this case. Shabalai Gama, perhaps the Shchimera didn't complete his mind, like Neisel Bishtar, to be makneh to the Makabel only through a kinyan that's written in the shtar. Vein shtar la chamisa, and the shtar cannot be acquired if the misa. So the matna Shchimera Taka doesn't need a kinyan, but since he wrote in the shtar lashna matna Shchimera, meaning that he wants the matana should be chal only after he dies, just like a regular matna Shchimera. So therefore, the matana cannot be chal because the matana of the Shchimera, the chacham were mesaking that is by of a matna Shchimera should be chal after misa, and the shtar, this kinyan that he wrote in it, cannot be chal after misa. In fact, you might have been Rabbi the Rav, the Shmuel, we have a contradiction with Rav and Shmuel. The Shalach Rav Mishmei, the Rabbi Avo, that but in the name of Rabbi Avo had sent, have a Yadi, no, Shalach Rabbi Lezer, Legayla Mishum Rabbeinu, that Rabbi Lezer had sent a notice in the name of Rav, that Shchimera Shomar, this halacha of a Shchimera that said, Kisut Numan Pleni, write and give $100 of minor chasim to this person, meaning it that he's giving from his kaka worth of money. V'meis, and then the Shchimera passed away before he wrote the star, or if he wrote the star, but before he gave over the star to the one that was supposed to receive the matana, we don't write the star for him, we don't give him the karka because we're concerned. Perhaps the giver only had intended to give it to him through a kinyan, through a star. He only wanted to be makna de karka through a star. And star, since the Shchimera added that this star should be written on this matana, we have to be concerned that maybe he had in mind to be makna the star dafka in the normal way of a kinyan b'shtar. That means when the star will reach to the hands of the Kabul, and he didn't want that he should be kind of be als matna Shchimera even without receiving a star. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, Hilchsa, the halacha is not like Rav, that koisv v'naisen, that we do give the matana after the death of the Meshchim Rav, because the star was only to be meyapa the koyach of the receiver of the matana, not to detract. In fact, you want to kash the Rav, kash the Shmuel and Shmuel. We have a contradiction of Rav and Rav, because earlier on Rav said that the kinyan that's written in the star just adds to the koyach of the matana that the Meshchim said Balpeh, said that the matana should have a stronger koyach, and over here Rav says no, being that there was a star, it detracts, it weakens the matana that was said as a Shchimera. And so to Shmuel contradicts his shita, because here he says in this case that we do give it to him, it is a kinyan, and in the previous case Shmuel said Lo Yodinama Odamba, because maybe he didn't have in mind only to be Makna Bishtar. Zog the Gemara, and for the Gemara, the Rav like Kasha, Rav is not a Kasha. In the first case, by Matna Shchimera, in which the kinyan was written in the star, is talking about the Kanam Yadei, that the Shchimera it was Makna to the Eidim for the Mekabel Matana. It was makna to the Eidim for the one who was supposed to receive the matana, and since the Shchimera was makna the matana by kinyan, we have to say he had in mind to enhance the koyach of the one that's receiving it, that it should be a complete matana. But in the second case, where the Shchimera said just kisvu to the manalaplani, write and give it to the person, the loikaminei, since there was no kinyan done there. So we don't say that the writing of the star was to enhance the koyach of the receiver of the matana. Adarabba. We have a concern. Maybe his intention was dafka that the kinyan should happen only through him receiving the star. The Shmuel like kasha. Shmuel is not a kasha, because in the second case where he said koisv v'naisnin is be miyapes koyach, it's talking about where he's enhancing the koyach of the receiver of the matana. The Shchimera told to write the star in addition to the matana that he said verbally, in such a even the star is not being used as a kinyan on its own, and therefore Shmuel is made that the matana balpeh is going to be kayemes, it's going to be a good matana. But in the first case where the matana Shchimera was in it, was written kinyan, is talking about that the star was not written as a yipuk to enhance. It was written as the star should be utilized as a kinyan. Therefore, Shmuel said, I have concerns. Maybe his kavanah was to give them a tana dafka to a kinyan. Two students of Rav Nachman were sitting before Rav Nachman. Rav Yitzchak was sitting behind Rava, and Rava was sitting also in front of Rav Nachman, Rav Yitzchak. Rabbi asked a shayla to Rav Nachman. Me Amar Shmuel. Did Shmuel say by Matna Shchimera, and we're in this Matna Shchimera, he wrote a kinyan in it. Shema loy gamal that we have to be concerned. Shema loy gamal aklis elo b'shta ve'inshta lachamisa. But we're concerned maybe he didn't have in mind to be makne the chas only through a star, and the star and ve'inshta lachamisa. That's what Shmuel holds. Well, Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, Shchimera shekasa kol dechas la'achedim, a Shchimera that wrote all his nechasim to others, even though he was kained from his hand, the nechasim Amad, but if the Shechina recovered from the sickness, Chayza, he can retract and take back the whole matana. Because it was b'yadua sh'lo kinyan elamach zamisa. It was known that the whole reason why he gave the matana because he thought he would not live. But since he recovered, that's why he gets back the matana. So what do we see from there? Here we see the kinyan. If he would have died, the shchimah would have died. It would have been a kinyan. This contradicts to what Shmuel himself said early on, that matna shchimah, in which a kinyan was written in it. We have to be concerned it's not chal at all, and here we said it was chal. Avnachman motioned with his hand, and he kept quiet. Kikam, when Rava got up, when he went left from before Avnachman, Avnachman Rabbi Yitzchak said, "Let Rava, my achlei." What did Avnachman motion to you with his hand? Amalei Rava says he motioned to me. It's talking about that the Shechina explicitly showed that the kinyan was only to enhance the koyach of the mekabel, that he should receive it as a strong matana, not to be used as a kinyan on its own. What's the case of in a case where you see that he's enhancing his koyach? Rav Chizda said, for instance, that the Edom wrote in the Shtar Matana, "V'kanina minei ma'isa matantado." The kanina means that we acquire from the Shechina Nechasim, in addition to his saying verbally that he's giving this matana to the Mekab matana. In such a case, Shmuel is made there, there's no suffix that maybe the Shechina wanted the matana should be dafka to the kinyan b'shtar, because it's mefurish b'shtar that the kinyan is only in addition to the words of the Shechina, meaning to strengthen the koyach of the matana. It's a davar pashit that if the Shechina Kasav, he wrote all his nechasim lazeh to one person, and then and then he changed after his mind, and he wrote the nechasim to another person. Hainu, this is the case upon which this following Harava said, "He asa Ravdimi." When Ravdimi had came from Eretz Yisrael to Bava, Amar Daiteki, Mabatelas Daiteki. Not Tzavav Shechina, one Tzavav Shechina, he can be Mevatelit and make it into a new Tzavav and give it to another person. So this he says, was this case. By Shechina Kasav, first he wrote all his Nechasim, all his possessions, to one person, V'zika Lazeh. And he gave the shtar that he wrote, that he's giving all his possessions to Ruvain, and he gave Reuven that shtar. Then he changed his mind. Kasav, he wrote all his nechasim to Shimon. And he gave it to Shimon. So now, who is Zeichen nechasim? Rav Amar Rishon Zeich Kana. Rav says the first one is Kana. Shmuel Amar Sheni Kana. Shmuel says the second one is Kana. And now the Gemara explains why does Rav say the first one is Kana. Rav Amar Rishon Kana. The first one is Kana nechasim because this matana is considered like Harehi Matnas body. It has a din like Matnas body, like Rav said before, that when a Shechina gives over his nechasim and he writes a kinyan, so it's enhancing the kinyan so strong, like a Matnas body, that the Shechina cannot back out from it. It's considered as a strong matana. Shmuel Amar Sheni Kana. Shmuel says the second one is Kana. Harehi Matnas Shechina, because the adding of the kinyan is nothing. It's like a matna Shechina, and he could retract, and the Shechina is allowed to retract from his first sabah. And therefore the second one is kinyan and nechasim. So the Gemara, this machlekes between Rav and Shmuel is l'chayda the previous machlekes of matna Shechina that wrote a kinyan, and in his matna Shechina he wrote a kinyan. So why do we need this machlekes of Zikul Azeh, where he wrote a shtar and he gave it to one end, and he retracted and he gave it to another? It's the same thing as a Shechina writing, same machlekes as a Shechina writing in the shtar that a kinyan. Says Yomar Tzich, we need it. We need both cases. If we would have learned only the machlekes of a matna Shechina in which he wrote a kinyan, I would have said B'Hakam Adavka. In this case, Rav holds that the matana has the strength of a matana's body, mishum dekonominei, because the Edom actually acquired the chasim on behalf of the receiver from the shchimira through kinyan chalipin. So therefore, it's considered as enhancement. It's considered as a matana's body. But in the second case, where he gave the shchimira, gave the star to the receiver, the like kanamiyan that there was no kinyan of nechasim from the shchimera through kinyan chalipin. Ema meidalei lishmol. Perhaps we would say Rav is made lishmol that there's no enhancement of the kaya there's no enhancement of the matna shchimera, and the shchimera could back out from this matana. Maybe Rav would be maida because there was no kinyan. That's why Rav had to teach us. Even in such a case, if the Mesis Hashtar is considered as enhancing the koyach of that matana, and it's considered as a matna's body, and the rishon is going to be kind of not the second one. And if we would have only learned the machlekes of the second case of the matna shchimera was that was given to the Mekam Matana, meaning Zikalazeh Zikalazeh. If I only would have learned that machlekes, I would have said B'Hakam. And in this case, Shmuel. Shmuel says that Shchimera could back out from the Matana because the Eidim did not make a kinyan in the Nechasim on behalf of the receiver. They didn't make a kinyan in the Chasim of the Shchimera on behalf of the receiver. That's why they could back out. But in the first case, when where the Eidim made a kinyan on behalf of the receiver, Ema, I would have said Meidele Shmuel will be Meidele Rav, that since there was a Maaseh kinyan, we'll have a din like a matna's body, and the shchimera cannot back out from the matana. That's why Shmuel had to teach us that the kinyan is not considered as a matna's body. That's why we needed both cases of both cases to tell us the chidushim in each machlekes in each case. The Surah Masna Hachin, the Yeshiva of Surah, they learned the machlekes of Rav and Shmuel by Kasav Zikalazeh, like we previously brought that they're arguing if it has a din like matnas body or not. But Pumbedisa, Masna Hachin, but in Yeshiva Pumbedisa, they learned the sugya this way. Said, they sent the Shaila from the basement of Rav Shmuel. Rabbeinu teaches Rabbeinu Shchimera shekol nechas la'achirim by matna Shchimera that it was made this star hatzavah to the receiver of the matana, and in addition kanu, and the eight more kind of nechasim yadeh from the hands of the Shchimera on behalf of the one that's supposed to receive the matana. What's the din? Here you have three things. The Shchimera said that he's giving us matana. Two, there was a star tzavah that he gave over to the Mekam Matana. Three, that the Eidim made a kinyan on behalf of the receiver. Shmuel answered to the Bnei Yeshiva of Rav, since in addition to the giving over the star, they also made a kinyan on behalf of the receiver. They made a kinyan on behalf of the receivers. Ein acha kinyan klum. So the Shchimera can never retract from that matana. So on Daf Kofnun Gimel, the Bnei Yeshiva thought from the answer of Shmuel that the Shchimera cannot back out. Hanimili le'acher, when he wants to give it to another, when the Shchimera wants to back out of the tzavah and give it to another person. But if he's leaving it for himself, maybe Shmuel didn't say that ein acher kinyan klum, meaning for himself, he could be kind of. Maybe the umdana of the Shchimera that he gave him the chasma only because he was worried he's going to die, but if he recovers, he can retract. So maybe in such a case, Shmuel will hold that he could retract, even though the additional kinyan was done. When Avuna came from the place called Kufri, Pisha, He explained the Heda of Shmuel. It was said in every Eifim. Bein Sayif the Shchimera requested that the Nechasim should stay even for the Atzma for himself. Bein, or whether he requested it should go la'achedim to others, he cannot give it to others. He cannot keep it for himself. The Gemara brings a Maisa that Avhuna did according to this Heda. Ahud the Kanamanei. There was this Shchimera that wrote all his Nechasim, and he gave over the Shtatzava, and also made a kinyan. All three, exactly like we spoke about in the previous case. He came before Avona to ask if he's allowed to do so. Meaning the Shchimera recovered from his sickness, and he wanted to retract, and he wanted to know if he could. Amalai, Avona said to him, "My Ibed Lach. What can I do for you? You cannot back out of the matana. You cannot back out of this matana. Loi aknes kedemakna ishnei. Here you did something unusual. You made it so strong. This matana, aside from giving over the shtar, you also had to aid them acquire your nechasim on behalf of the mekabel. There's no way that you can back out of this matana, even if you recovered from your sickness and you had in mind that you're giving it only because you thought you were going to die. It's not going to help.